Who is the higher self? What part does it play in my existence? Well, I guess that would perhaps feed into the question of what is existence. We tend to associate with the body, but the mind is where we spend most of our time. And that state of being is really our true seat of consciousness. We will continue to be even when we leave the physical. Our awareness will probably change. We'll lose the physical vibration that pulls our attention in so thoroughly. But we still will be. So there seems to me to be some sort of separation between the higher perspective and what we are here in the physical. I often try to connect with the higher self, with my guides, and frankly, I can't necessarily name them or tell you exactly what they look like. For me, that was a big problem for a long time. I couldn't understand why it was so hard to do that when other people report doing it so readily. And then I came to understand that it wasn't so important to actually know them by name, if you like, but just to experience that level of consciousness. Perhaps at that level of consciousness even, it's more difficult to define boundaries between self and higher self and guides but we are definitely multi-dimensional. We have aspects of self which are working on a different vibration to bring about changes that we perhaps wouldn't choose on a physical. And that's to a divine plan. So there is that aspect of self, there is that higher awareness that's working within us. And sometimes that can be a precious resource of even comfort, because something that may be worrying us on an earthly level seem so critical and urgent, we can see from a higher perspective is actually not something that's going to bother us, even to the point that maybe we can learn to not allow ourselves to indulge in it. Perhaps it's a relationship of some sort with somebody, a person that you find is a challenging situation, a boss or somebody, and you can't relate to that person. But when you go to your higher seat of consciousness, you're able to tolerate that much more, in fact feel unaffected by it, because you're listening to your inner journey. So I think the higher consciousness is almost like a refuge at times. It's certainly a knowing. It's not something that tells us 2 + 2 is 4, if you like. It's something that is guiding us more like sometimes almost like a magnetic field, I think, that draws us to a higher awareness, a different perspective. and I think that's where the real value is, in a way, is on an earthly level of who we are and what we want to achieve, if you like. By being a higher perspective, it allows us to step back and employ patience if that's necessary, or tenacity and drive if that's required. It's not about relinquishing control over our lives, but it's about, I like the prayer of Sir Francis of Assisi, God give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the key point, the wisdom to know the difference. That the higher self can help us to know when to fight, when not to fight. So it's a very important aspect of self, a very important part of self. Obviously it's not the whole, and to do credit to the whole, we need to respect and feel and try to know the whole self. But the higher self is a place that can help to facilitate and integrate that. It's a seat of wisdom as well. I hope that gets some insight into what our higher self is.